Well, hello, peeps. Oh, welcome back again. Man, I was hoping to wear a cute little top and be all springy slash summery, and we're back in cold weather again. And we're in California, and I'm telling you, I'm so ready for sun to stay out. We had some really nice weather. I was like, great, I'm going to take out all my summer clothes that I have boxed away, and I always switch them out in my closet. And nope, I'm leaving my my sweaters out for a while because it's supposed to even sprinkle, I think, tomorrow. Crazy. Can't depend or predict anything anymore. It's like all over the board. Just a little segue of what I'm going to be talking about today with let's dive into how to see red flags. And actually, what is a red flag? And when you've grown up with trauma and you've normalized bad behavior, you miss the red flags in others. So let's get into that. I was kind of looking through some past episodes and I was like, oh, I really haven't talked about this, but there's so many times in my 20s where it's like instinctively, I talked about this with a friend yesterday. I was having breakfast with my friend Nicole, and we were talking about how we miss some things, but also how we feel deeply, intuitively, when something is dangerous or wrong. And when we don't listen to that little still voice inside of us, then trouble ensues. And this is exactly what red flags is all about. So red flags are when you are with somebody, you meet someone, if you're a single girl or you're dating somebody, and you see something that's just a little off, but you don't want to be judgmental. And here's the other thing that I was talking about is that we raise our girls. I was raised this way. One, to be tough, but also to be nice. Be nice. Be a lady. Be sweet. You see that, you hear that, stay sweet in cults where that's actually, they're saying that that's more religious, like more sanctimonious. But when I hear that with men that have told the women in there, stay sweet, what I'm hearing is a red flag of shut your mouth. Don't speak your mind. Because if you had some thought behind what is actually going on, you would know, big red flag, this is not right. It's not equal. It's not respectful. So there's a difference between telling your daughters to be polite and be kind when it warrants it. But when you feel a red flag, when you see a red flag in someone else and you don't say anything because you think as a woman or the way you've grown up is that, well, I'm not supposed to respond to that, then you end up getting tied into it. And this is where a lot of abuse comes in. And also, if you've grown up traumatized in abuse all the time, you don't see it as abuse as much anymore. It's very subtle. I'm not talking about like beating up abuse. We know when you see somebody getting physically abused, you know that's abuse. You still may normalize it in some way if you've grown up in it. However, the abuse can be emotionally damaging and red flags that you don't see outwardly. You don't really notice it because you're grown up in it. You don't notice it as like a big red flag. You just look at it as that's just a personality flaw. That's the difference. Personalities, yes, we all tend to have we all have a tendency to rage at some moment. Most of us learn how to control that because we know that's not a great behavior quality to have. A lot of us go within and shut down and don't say anything and then do like kind of devious things behind the scenes. Like a lot of people do that. There's a lot of different kinds of red flags that you wouldn't really notice until it's too late. But I follow someone on Instagram. I think I've talked about him before. Nate, I always mess up his name. I hope I'm saying it right. Postlethwait. I'm giving him full credit for this episode because this was something he was talking about on Instagram on one of his posts. And it really got me thinking about red flags and how women, especially when we tend to grow up in trauma-filled homes, we think that we know people and we know how relationships should be because we've normalized that kind of behavior in our own homes growing up. And as I've gotten older, though, I see this dismissiveness in friendships and coworkers, church friends, really wherever you look. Nate talked about how vulnerable we can be and actually like we're almost like a magnet for other people that are red flag people. They come after us who are traumatized because we tend to kind of hold back a little bit. We're not quite sure. We don't know. We don't want to rock the boat anymore because we've lived in this rock the boat kind of family where things were so chaotic. And so we're just trying to get along. We're just trying to, be okay with everybody and their feelings. And also we become shamed because if we do get involved with someone who has huge red flags and now we're in this like abusive relationship, or just, it doesn't even have to be abusive, but just like a really strained relationship, we're shamed because we're like, well, we brought them in, so I didn't see the red flags. Like, what's wrong with me? So I need to make this work because this is my fault. I started this relationship. And so things aren't as black and white, when you grow up, you're just like, you live in this gray area of maybe that's okay, maybe that's not okay. You're not really sure. And so you get into these relationships where once you're in them, you innately know like something is wrong. Something's not right in this relationship. But then it's just this hard, like, how do I get out of it now? I'm going to be shamed if I stop it. I'm going to be thought of as dumb if how did you not see the red flags? And do you even know what a red flag looks like? So when I grew up and I was actually on my own, I thought, okay, I think I know that there was some big red flags in my family. So I think I can just go out there and here's how we think. I think I can save the world. Especially, I think I can save that bad boyfriend. He's going to love me more because I'm going to care for him and take care of him. And I'm going to fix him so there won't be any more red flags. And I'm here to tell you that when you see major red flags early on in a relationship, and this is not just a love relationship. This can be a friendship. This could be a coworker. This could be anyone where it's just constantly you're on edge, you're on eggshells, you said something wrong, they're going to come at you, you did something the wrong way, they're going to scream at you or belittle you. There are people that love to joke a little bit too much where you're making people cry. That is a red flag because that's telling me what is behind the joke. What is behind the passive aggressiveness that you have to keep constantly putting other people down to make you look better? That really bothers me when people keep coming at me. And here's the thing. You can ask my husband or my friends about this. I'm really good with a comeback because I've grown up in that kind of environment. So if somebody comes at me with a hard line joke or, kind of a cutting remark, I can shoot it right back at them. And I did that years ago. And then I realized I was making people really upset. And I realized I was doing that out of a fear base of like, I don't want you to belittle me. So I'm going to cut right back. When you become confident in who you are, you don't need to respond to it. If it's a friend, if it's literally a friend and they are just making a joke and it's a little cutting and you're like, I get it. Like, I deserved that. Like, I fell right into that joke. That's different. You know what I'm talking about when you have somebody in your life that is constantly making hardline jokes and it's at the expense of your emotional health. And they don't care when you've told them like, hey, that hurt my feelings. I'd really like if you didn't mention that, or I'd like it if you just didn't like do that anymore. It's upsetting. And they come back with, oh, you're just so sensitive. Just, get over it. Like, this is my personality. This is how I am. When somebody dismisses you, that's a red flag. When you truly care about somebody, you're going to stop and go, oh, that wasn't my intention. I'm so sorry. Like, I thought we were joking around. I thought we were kidding. Some people can't take that like other people can, and we have to be respectful of that. That is being kind. It's not being sweet. We're not like just trying to be copacetic with everybody, but there is a limit. Other red flags are more subtle, and this is where just I've been reading a lot about like covert narcissism and different kinds of bad habits and psychological things, and sometimes these people will say something so sly that you don't even notice it as a red flag. And I really want like single girls to notice this when you're on a date with somebody, the way they treat others, the way they handle hard situations, the way they have a look sometimes where you're like, oof. I will tell you, if you were in tune with your feelings, you're going to feel a red flag 1,000 miles away. Because when you're with really calming, honest, beautiful people, your heart will be calm. When you are with someone who has some red flags, there's going to be these little like, oh, that felt a little weird in my heart. That felt a little weird in my spirit. You're going to feel red flags. And this is every time. You can talk to so many women that have gotten in these abusive relationships, and they'll say, yeah, it was just a little weird. Like, he reacted so odd to this situation, but I just thought, oh, he's just having a bad day. And sometimes that could be true. I'm not saying you have to be so alert that if they make one wrong move, like I said, we all have a tendency to rage. Like, there's days when I'm super tired. If someone cuts me off on the highway or comes in front of me in a line at a grocery store, I'm going to get a little irritated. But am I going to rage at that person and scream at that person and make a bigger scene than what needs to be? No, because I got to check myself and be like, why are you feeling like this? Like, it's 20 seconds more out of your life. It's not going to matter. But when you have someone who absolutely has to be righteous and is going to rage at, how dare they? How could you do that to me? That kind of thing. Then I think you need to look at that. And the problem is when we've grown up with that kind of reaction, that is how my parents reacted to a lot of things. My dad did a little of both. He either raged physically or he completely shut down. My mom was a righteous fighter. It was like, you're going to hear my side of the story or else. And she was someone who would burn the house down to prove her point right. She goes, I will destroy everything about you if you don't listen to me. And that is like a very significant kind of personality trait and very much how my mom reacted to things. So I was constantly putting out fires, apologizing to people like she didn't mean it, or trying to back away from her so that her rage didn't come at me or my sister, like those kind of things. And then you get into these relationships later on, and this is where it gets tricky, is like you could have friendships or coworkers like that, and you just think, oh, they're having a bad day, and then it's happening time after time after time, and then you realize this is a red flag. Like this is your personality problem, your trauma, your whatever. But I need to back away from that because that's not healthy. I would say if you were in a relationship where you feel like there are huge red flags, there's a lot of physical abuse or maybe verbal abuse even, which sometimes I think emotional abuse is even worse than, no one's worse than the other, but just as bad, is when you constantly live with this person who is emotionally, verbally abusing you, can be very chaotic for your brain. And if you've grown up in trauma, it's just re-traumatizing every single day. And so I would recommend that you do seek out professional help and safety. I've helped some women with some communities that we have here where I'm like, you need to go find a safe place to be. Like, you don't need to be in that situation. And chances are that situation isn't going to change. And so you have to be aware of what that looks like. But a lot of times we don't even realize what it looks like. And red flags are when somebody doesn't make you feel safe and someone is not honoring your opinion and somebody is constantly telling you you're not good enough. So there was some things that we thought of as normal as kids growing up. And I'll tell you what those are, is that I thought their parenting was just normal. I didn't know it was abuse. Of course you wouldn't, because it's all you know when you grow up, right? When I moved away from it, I realized not every parent reacts the way my mom reacted to these things. And I had to take a look at that and realize something is missing in me. Something has happened to me and it's not healthy. And I am therefore carrying that in my body and in my mind. And those are making me make bad decisions. I felt shame that I had done something wrong and it's my fault. And that's why she's reacting like that. So that's why I didn't recognize it in other people as an adult, because I thought the things that were happening in our home, well, I wasn't a good enough kid. I didn't clean the dishes the right way. I didn't put my socks in the right drawer. I didn't scrub the toilet in the way she likes it. It didn't smell the same with enough Clorox in it. You know, it's like all these things we take on as our pain and our shame. And then therefore we grow up and we don't recognize the red flags because we think those things that were done to us were our fault somehow. Well, she wouldn't have done, that wasn't a personality in her. That was me. Like, she wouldn't have reacted that way had I done it right. Here's the thing. You will never do it right, and they will never be happy, and they will never be satisfied, because what's in them is damaged. It has nothing to do with you. They are the ones that can't get it right, and so they're blaming you for that. Hi, peeps. I know Mother's Day is right around the corner, and with that can come some hard emotions. So how about a little gift to cheer you up? I am so excited to be doing a giveaway during this time. I have finally made something fun for all of us. They are these beautiful hats that come in a blush color with the name of my one-on-one coaching on it, Patience and Grace. This program is something I'm so happy to bring you when you are trying to maneuver this unmothered journey. If you've been wanting to find out more about what I can walk you through, you can head on over to my website. We will be giving away one of these cute hats and my book, UnMothered, to one lucky winner. Here's what you need to do. Leave a review on the UnMothered podcast on Apple Podcasts and take a screenshot of it before you press submit. Send me a photo via DM on Instagram or leave your IG handle on the review so we can get in touch with you. The giveaway starts today, Thursday, May 2nd, and goes until Friday, May 10th. The winner will be chosen and contacted on Monday, May 13th. DM me on Instagram if you have any questions. Also, there's a fear when you grow up in this trauma-filled red flag kind of home. You're like, well, if I tell someone, will they even believe me? Because she would tell me, you're crazy. It didn't happen that way. And then I'm thinking, but I was there. Did it happen that way? You start second guessing. So then you're thinking, well, if I reach out to someone else and I really am crazy, I'm the crazy one. It didn't happen that way. Now I'm going to look like a double idiot because she thinks I'm an idiot. And now strangers are going to think I'm an idiot and a crazy kid. So why even open your mouth? The flip side of that is, what if I do tell and then I make things worse? So that's a fear that we have. So we don't say anything because we're like, well, if we say something, and this can be in your adult life, this is what abused women go through. If I say something and they don't take him to jail or they don't figure out where to place me in a safe place, it's going to be worse if I get left behind. Same thing with kids. It's going to get worse. You think you had a beating before? Wait until they leave. Oh, you're really going to get it now because you exposed us. So all of these things accumulate, and then you grow up and you're like, I'm missing these red flags. And then you get right into a relationship that is just as abusive. So very important to see these red flags. Always help yourself first when you're coming out of a trauma-filled family or a relationship. It's important that you are healthy first before you allow someone else into your life. You have to recognize those red flags when you are coming out of a trauma-filled home, or if you've just ended a relationship and you're like, gosh, I just really want to fall in love with somebody. Make sure you're taking care of yourself first, and you have found ways to comfort and be comfortable with yourself. Because when you can love who you are and you know that God has you in a safe place, then He will allow somebody else to come into your life. You're not ready for that yet. Don't jump from relationship to relationship. This is when we miss the red flags, is because what we're looking for is one thing, but there's a whole bunch of stuff over here that is about this other person, and you're missing it because you just want love. If you have been taught that things are normal, my mom would say, this is just normal behavior. You're exaggerating, that kind of stuff. You're going to have to unravel those narratives. Because for a long time, I was like, was that normal or was that trauma? I'm not sure. And then I'm unraveling all these things and I'm like, it was all trauma. It was so much trauma that it had to be normal for my head to work. Because when I tell people, and it's like I tell this all the time, like I tell people these stories like it's a Tuesday, and their mouths are like, what? Just they're like aghast. Like, what is you went through that and you're standing here today? And I'm like, yeah, that's stuff that happened in my house all the time. I have normalized it so much. It was like trying to unravel that was just, it still continues. Like there's still things that I'm having memories pop up even now where I'm like, wow, I forgot all about that and how crazy that was. And now I can say it's crazy because I know it was. But the unraveling takes time, and you need to be able to change the narrative of that and stop normalizing it so that you can see when it starts happening with somebody else, you can be like, hey, that's a red flag. That's not okay. Never feel embarrassed if you've allowed someone to take advantage of you. This I want to really stress. We always think we can fix someone because we come from this broken place and we've had to do this our whole childhood. We have big hearts, and there is nothing wrong with that, except to say that you need to give your heart to the person that's worthy of it. Don't give your heart away to just anybody. Make sure that that person is really going to honor your heart well. Make sure that people show you who they are, not just who they say they are. This is a big one because a lot of times when I was talking to my friend, I was like, you know how everyone's like, gosh, they're just such a nice person. I just really love them. I adore them. And you're like, yeah, I met them. And there's, again, that intuition. There's just something where I was a little like, I'm not sure. That's a little... I was not as impressed as you were. So a lot of times, and don't think of yourself as crazy when you think that, just take your time. A lot of times these people are very charming and they get the masses to just adore them. I just watched the documentary on O.J. Simpson. It's an older one, but it came back on Netflix. And it was so interesting to watch that again through the eyes of my trauma coaching now, to really see how he personified this person. He wanted everyone to believe him and love him above all else, so that when he did something wrong, he could say, oh, but they love me and they adore me. All I have to do is say I'm sorry and it's gonna be okay. And you watch how he was very calculating even in college. You could watch, if you look at his facial expressions, he would turn it on and turn it off and turn it on and turn it off. And it was like, ooh, there's so many red flags in that. And people just bypassed it because he was extremely charming, extremely charming. And so people just kind of forgive things, that the red flags that are right in front of them. So be very aware, just because everyone, the masses are like, he's amazing, he's great. And you're feeling a little like, I'm not sure. Like there's something in my heart and my intuition, like there's something a little off. Go with that. Just take your time, get to know somebody, and know that that's okay. You don't have to like someone just because everyone else likes them. And make sure that they are who they are, not just who they say they are. It's super important. You always have a restart button on your life. You never have to feel like you deserve this abuse because you got into this relationship and now like it's my fault. I started the train. Let's just ride it all the way down the tracks. No, you can always start over, and you should start over. If something's becoming unsafe for you, you should start over. Now, if something's hard and, it's like sometimes people have red flags that aren't like detrimental. They're just like, they are character flaws. If there's a willingness on both parties to really help and work through that, great, you can do that. I'm not saying a red flag is an obsolete, but it's definitely, red flag means stop. It means, hold on, let's recalculate, let's see what's going on. So please know that if it becomes an overwhelming burden where you're feeling unsafe and you're feeling like this person with these red flags are huge red flags, you need to put a stop to it and start over. Hit the reset button. Don't worry about what other people think. You need to take care of you first. So this is a great time to seek out therapy. If you have little red flags where you're like, yeah, they're not really dangerous, they're just like really annoying, and there's ways that I would love to take a step forward and just kind of move through these issues and find ways where I can, like different techniques and different things that I can use to make myself healthy, and possibly this other person too, if they're willing to do it. This is where coaching comes in really well. This is what I love to do, is I love to help moms or daughters with those little red flags, the things that are irritating, not the things that are dangerous, but the things that just are something like, how can I recreate this and find new tools to make this a different story than the one it is, and get rid of these red flags that are like blocking our relationship. That's when coaching comes in really well. And that's something I would love to help you guys with. So if this is something that is describing you and your relationship with your mom, please reach out. I would love to work with you and help you find that sweet spot where you can both learn each other's communicative skills in a healthier way, so that these red flags don't become these big red flags where you just end up not talking to each other anymore. And listen, if it is a dangerous situation and you can't go on anymore with it, then that is something you have to decide. But if it's something that you really want to start the healing process, if not for her, for you, please reach out to me and we can just have a consultation call and see if it's something we can help. First of all, recognize what those red flags are, and then move in a place where you can get away from those red flags. So that is my topic for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next time. Bye, peeps.